Hello everybody, my professor, whoever would be watching. I am Logan Newell. This is my project for the midterm project for CAMS 45. I decided to do a bit of a MineCraft with 3D spaces. I made MineCraft builds for each of Hercules' 12 labors. My character skin is Hercules as well, so I will be guiding you through the 12 labors as Hercules. Alright, so we'll just get right into it. So starting off is the first labor, the Nemean lion. The Nemean lion was Hercules' first labor. The lion's skin was so tough he couldn't break through it, so he had to strangle the lion to death. The villager here is the Hercules strangling the lion. Little lion eyes, nice. And that is his first labor. Moving on to his second labor, the Nemean Hydra. This is a Hydra with 3 heads, technically to start at least. One of his heads is completely immortal, and the other 2, if you cut one off, another 2 come back in its place. As we can see here, the Hydra has 4 heads, so it had 3. They cut one of its heads off, as seen right there, and then 2 more grew back. So how did Hercules defeat this Hydra? Well, with the help of his nephew, Heracles, they cut off the heads one by one and then cauterized the wounds so the more heads wouldn't come out. And then with the immortal one, they buried it in stone rocks so he could not get out. Moving on to the third labor. This is the Cernian hind. 1 second here. This is the Cernian hind. This is Hercules' third labor. It was to safely capture this hind for the goddess Artemis, who he was doing the labor for. He chased it for a whole year before catching it. And as we can see here, this is the hind with the golden antlers right here, and then you can see Hercules on top of it. All right. Don't look in the background, that's not important. But over here, this is Mount Serena. As you can see, sorry, the hind dwelled on Mount Serena, so the mountain's right there. And as we can see here, Artemis is awfully depicted watching Hercules capture the hind, so I included her or him watching it as well. The next labor is the Erymanthian boar. This was a boar that needed captured. This was his 4th labor. So here is the boar. All right. In order to capture it, he took the boar, he drove it into the snow, where it was unable to continue fighting off the Hercules, and he was then able to capture it and bring it back to Eurystheus, who, when he saw it, actually hid in a jar. So, just a little fun fact. The 5th labor, which we're heading to now, is the Augean stables. The Augean stables were stables of 1,000 cattle that had never been cleaned and were super dirty. So this was his 5th labor, and he had to clean the stables. So in order to do that, he diverted the paths of 2 rivers, and from a river up there, diverted it all the way through the stables in order to clean them. All right, so now the stables are all clean. They were super crowded. There were tons of cattle. Now they're all clean as the water has flown through it and cleaned everything up. Moving on to the 6th labor, which is the Stymphalian birds. These were a group of birds that were plaguing the people, as they were just mean birds. So this was his 6th labor. They were plaguing the townspeople, so he used cash nets to get them away from the trees, and then once they were away from the trees, as you can see here, I'm going to cheat a little bit, he shot the birds down and got rid of them, so they were not plaguing the townspeople anymore. And that was his 6th labor. Moving on to his 7th labor, the Cretan bull. This was a bull that Hercules needed to capture and bring back to Eurystheus. So how he ended up doing this is capturing it, grabbing it by the horns, pulling it in, and then carrying it and transferring it by boat back to Minos, who had lost it. It was actually a gift from Poseidon. He was told to kill it, and he did not. But as we'll see over here, the Cretan bull is over there, and then I've also created a boat for the bull as he was traveling back to Eurystheus with Hercules, right? Now we are going to be moving on to the next labor, the mares of Diomedes. These were some flesh-eating horses that had existed under Diomedes, and they were bad, so he was sent to tame them. He did this by feeding them the flesh of Dionysus, and he took them, fed them the flesh, and they all turned back to normal horses, and it was a success, and he completed his next labor. All right, the next 9th labor we'll be heading to is the girdle of Hippolyta. This was a belt-like object that was on the queen of a tribe called the Amazons. She wore this belt around her. I have drawn her here next to her village of the Amazons. The gold waistline is the girdle. She initially had said she was going to give it away happily, and they all agreed, but a goddess spread false rumors about Hercules, and they turned against him, and he was forced to kill the queen and take her girdle. All right, that all basically says what I just said. And here are the girdle of Hippolyta, which we will wear for the remainder of the video. The village was the Amazons tribe, as mentioned before. Moving on to the 10th labor, the cattle of Geryon. Geryon was a 3-bodied monster. He's got 3 heads, 3 bodies, kind of all in one, some giant mean dude. And this is his protector, Eurytion, for his cattle. Hercules and Helios took and killed Geryon and Eurystheus, and then took the cattle back with him. With Helios. And they took the cattle back after killing both of them. And another successful labor. Moving on to the 11th, second to last labor. This was the apples of Hesperides. His 11th labor was to collect the apples from Hesperides, golden tree, over here. Unfortunately, it was guarded by a serpent, so he could not go and get them. So he found Atlas and took the weight off of the world of him. The building I made here is just Atlas or Hercules, either or, carrying the world. And while Hercules was, he went over and got some golden apples for Hercules and to successfully complete another labor. With that, we have one labor remaining, which is the Cerberus. The Cerberus is the gateway to, is the guard dog to Hades' kingdom in the underworld. He was tasked with getting this Cerberus back to the overworld to the king, and he did this. But Hades originally told him he would allow him to catch the Cerberus if he was not to use any weaponry. So he wrestled the Cerberus into submission and took it back through the portal. Took it back to the overworld. And if we go back out of the nether portal, which is MineCraft's arbitrary underworld for this example, and he brought it back to the overworld to successfully finish another labor, although he was forced to take the Cerberus back down because the king was very scared of the Cerberus. with that, that is Hercules 12 Labors. Thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed some of the builds. Some of them took a good bit of time. And thank you very much. All right, bye.